The light of two small moons cast long shadows across the red landscape. Commander Ziltrix moved carefully over the dusty ground, his 6 legs finding secure footing with each step. The thin atmosphere of Mars whispered around his environmental suit as he approached the half-buried structure. "Another dead end," muttered his assistant Vela. Her voice crackled through the communication system. "Perhaps not," said Ziltrix. "This bunker seems intact. The others were all broken open centuries ago." For 10 years, the Valthian Science Corps had been cataloging the remains of human civilization on this planet. Most sites had been picked, cleaned by scavengers, or damaged beyond recognition by dust storms. Finding an untouched human facility was extremely rare. Ziltrix placed his sensor against the metal door. "Power signature detected," he said, his voice rising with excitement. "After 500 years, something is still running inside." Vela joined him at the entrance, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of Valthian disbelief. "Impossible. Nothing human should still function after so long." "They were always full of surprises," Ziltrix replied. "That's why my grandfather loved working with them." The team of 6 researchers gathered around the bunker entrance. They carefully cut through the sealed door, making sure not to damage whatever lay within. As the metal plate fell away, stale air rushed out. The interior lights flickered on automatically, responding to the breach. "Amazing," whispered Ziltrix as he stepped inside. "It's been waiting all this time." The bunker contained rows of computer terminals, all dark except for one in the center of the room. A soft blue light pulsed from its screen. On the walls hung faded maps of the solar system, with detailed notes about terraforming projects that had been abandoned when humanity disappeared. "Should we report this to the Council first?" asked Vela. Ziltrix moved toward the active terminal. "Protocol says we document everything before reporting. Let's see what we've found." He connected, his translator to the human computer. The ancient machine responded immediately, scanning his device. Text appeared on the screen in both human English and modern Valthian. "DNA verification required." Ziltrix hesitated. "It wants human DNA to unlock. We can't provide that." The youngest, researcher Trill, stepped forward. "Actually, we might be able to." He removed a small vial from his equipment pack. "This is synthesized human DNA. I've been working on it for my thesis on human biology." Ziltrix considered the ethical implications for a moment, then nodded. "Apply a small sample." Trill placed a drop on the scanner. The screen flashed green, then displayed a message. "Welcome back, humans." Quantum lock disengaged. A compartment in the wall slid open, revealing a small crystal cube that glowed with inner light. Ziltrix recognized it immediately from historical records, a quantum data storage device, the most advanced technology humans had created before their disappearance. "We need to take this back to the main research facility," he said. "It could contain answers about what happened to them." Across the galaxy, in the gleaming towers of the Galactic Council's capital world, Ambassador Krall of the Zorvan Empire stood before the assembled representatives of 27 spacefaring civilizations. His gray skin was stretched tight over sharp facial bones, and his voice carried easily through the chamber. "For 5 centuries, we have honored the memory of humanity by preserving their home system," he said. "But sentiment must eventually give way to necessity. The restricted zone contains resources our growing populations need." The Zorvan Empire had risen to prominence in the power vacuum left by humanity's disappearance. Once a minor species under human protection, they now controlled the largest military force in the galaxy. Ambassador Lyrita of the Flowing Consciousness raised her liquid form slightly. "The human territories are memorial space. Our laws forbid development there." Krall's mouth formed what his species considered a smile, though most others found it unsettling. "Laws can be changed. I call for a vote to reclassify the Sol system as open territory 1 week from today." In the viewing gallery above the council floor, John Peters watched with concern. As one of the few human experts at the Galactic Historical Institute, he was often called to observe discussions about his ancestral species. Though born to parents of the Arturian race, he had dedicated his life to studying humanity. His communicator vibrated. A message from the director. Come back immediately. Emergency situation. John slipped out of the gallery and hurried through the curved hallways of the council building. When he reached the institute, he found the director and several senior researchers gathered around a display. What's happening? He asked. The director, an elderly Malorian with translucent skin, pointed to the screen. 17 minutes ago, this signal activated across the galaxy. It's coming from old human satellites that have been dormant for centuries. The screen showed a simple message repeating in all major galactic languages. We are returning. John stared at the words. Is this a joke? Some kind of hacking attempt? We verified the transmission sources, said the director. These are genuine human communication arrays using encryption protocols only they would know. Someone, or something, has reactivated their network. That's not possible, John said. Humans disappeared completely. No trace of them has been found beyond their abandoned structures. And yet, the director said, pointing to another screen showing new data, we're detecting energy signatures at the edge of charted space. They match theoretical models of human faster-than-light technology. John felt a chill run through him. Throughout his career, he had studied human history, art, and technology, always treating them as a vanished civilization, interesting but safely confined to the past. The idea that they might actually return upended everything. We need to inform the council, he said. Ambassador Krall has already been notified, the director replied. He's ordered the message suppressed while they investigate. John frowned. That's not his decision to make. This affects every species in the galaxy. Before the director could respond, all the screens in the room flickered. The Institute's communication system had been overridden. The same message now, displayed everywhere. We are returning. Prepare. In orbit around Earth, a planet left untouched since humanity's exodus, automated systems began to activate. Deep beneath the surface, machinery that had waited patiently for 5 centuries hummed to life. Humanity had never truly left. They had merely stepped away, and now their long absence was coming to an end. The galaxy would never be the same again. John Peters rushed through the crowded halls of the Galactic Council headquarters. Emergency alarms blared throughout the massive structure. Species from across the galaxy hurried in all directions, some fleeing in panic, others moving with purpose, toward command centers. Make way, John called out, pushing past a group of tall, thin Nelbury diplomats. Historical Institute personnel. His identification badge glowed blue, granting him access to the inner chambers where the council members had gathered for an emergency session. As he entered the grand circular room, he saw representatives from all 27 member species, seated around the central platform. The atmosphere was thick with tension. Council leader Trex, an ancient Malosian with skin that rippled like water, raised her hand for silence. The human signal has now reached every corner of settled space, she announced. We must determine if this is a threat or an opportunity. Ambassador Krall of the Zorvan Empire stood up, his gray skin looking even paler than usual. This can only be a threat. Humans were dangerous 500 years ago. If they have survived somewhere all this time, they must be even more dangerous now. John moved closer to the platform. A security officer tried to stop him, but Director Zana of the Historical Institute waved him through. John Peters is our foremost expert on human culture, Zana explained to the council. We need his insight. John nodded his thanks and stepped onto the speaking platform. He was nervous addressing such powerful figures, but his passion for human history gave him courage. Council members, there's no evidence this is a hostile return, he said. Throughout their history, humans were explorers and builders. Yes, they fought wars, but they also created great works of art and science. Before they disappeared, they had peaceful relations with most species. Ambassador Krall laughed harshly. The Valthian Science Corps just reported finding an active human facility on Mars with secured data. They were clearly planning something in secret before they vanished. The room erupted in worried conversation. Council leader Trex had to call for order several times. We need more information, she finally declared. John Peters will lead a team to investigate the human signal's source. Ambassador Krall, your military vessels will provide protection for this mission. Krall's expression darkened. My ships will do more than protect. If humans pose any threat, we will eliminate it immediately. John wanted to argue, but he knew it would be pointless. The Zorvans had always been suspicious of other species. Instead, he focused on the opportunity this mission presented. After years of studying human artifacts, he might finally discover what had happened to them. 2 days later, John stood on the bridge of the Zorvan vessel, Swift Justice. The military ship was not designed for comfort, with its sharp angles and minimalist layout. A team of scientists from various worlds had joined him, including Liara, a young engineer from the newest council species, the Tari. I've never seen actual humans, Liara said, her large eyes blinking with excitement. My people evolved to full sentience only a century ago. Humans are like legends to us. John smiled. They were remarkable beings, physically weaker than many species, but incredibly adaptable and creative. Their art could make you laugh or cry, sometimes both at once. Commander Vex, the Zorvan in charge of the mission, approached them. We've pinpointed the signal's origin, he said coldly. It's coming from the veiled sector beyond the galactic rim. John frowned. That's strange. Historical records show no human presence there. Perhaps that's why they survived when the rest disappeared, Vex suggested. We'll arrive in 12 hours. Be prepared for anything. As the ship traveled through hyperspace, John studied the data from the Mars discovery. Commander Ziltrix had sent him images of the quantum storage device, but they couldn't access its contents without specialized equipment. It's frustrating, he told Liara as they worked in the ship's small laboratory. The answers could be right here, but we can't read them. Liara examined the crystal cube through the holographic projector. The technology is far beyond what the records say humans possessed. It's almost as if... As if what? John prompted. As if they evolved very quickly before they disappeared, she finished. This level of quantum manipulation would have taken centuries to develop, not the few decades humans had between creating their first starships and vanishing. This observation troubled John. Had history been wrong about humanity's capabilities? Or had something accelerated their development? His thoughts were interrupted when the ship suddenly dropped out of hyperspace, alarms blaring. He and Liara rushed to the bridge. What's happening? John asked. Commander Vex pointed to the main view screen. We've detected a massive energy spike ahead. And this. The screen showed a small vessel unlike any design John had ever seen. It was smooth and elegant, with no visible engines or weapons. It glowed with a soft blue light, pulsing in rhythm like a heartbeat. It's transmitting a message, said the communications officer. Words appeared on the screen in perfect galactic standard. Greetings, Council representatives. We are the Vanguard. We come in peace. Commander Vex ordered weapons charged. It could be a trap. Wait, John said urgently. Look at the markings. On the hull of the mysterious vessel were symbols John recognized immediately. Human letters spelling out, Earth Alliance Pioneer. It's them, he whispered. It's really them. Commander Vex hesitated, then ordered a communication channel opened. This is Commander Vex of the Galactic Council. Identify yourselves completely and state your purpose. The view screen changed to show the interior of the other vessel. John gasped as he saw the figure seated in what appeared to be the command chair. It looked human in shape but was clearly artificial, an android with features that resembled ancient human paintings. Its skin had a slight metallic sheen, and its eyes glowed with the same blue light as the ship. My name is Kate, the android said in a perfectly natural voice. I represent the human collective. We have returned because it is time. Time for what? Vex demanded. The android smiled, an expression so convincingly human that John felt a chill run down his spine. Time to save the universe, Kate replied. Simply, we need to speak with your council immediately. What we have to share cannot wait. Behind Kate, more android figures moved about the ship's bridge. They all appeared to be working with technology far more advanced than anything in the known galaxy. Where are the real humans? Commander Vex asked suspiciously. Kate's expression became serious. That's what we need to explain. Humanity didn't vanish. We fled. And now we've returned with knowledge that will change everything you think you know about reality itself. John stepped forward, unable to contain his curiosity. Why did you leave? What happened 500 years ago? We discovered something terrible, Kate said. Something that threatened all life everywhere. We left to find a solution. The android paused, then added, and now we've found it. In the distance behind the alien ship, space itself seemed to shimmer and bend, as if reality was being folded by an unseen hand. The android ship allowed a small delegation from the Zorvan vessel to board. John, Liara, and Commander Vex stepped through the airlock into a corridor that seemed to glow with soft light from no visible source. The air smelled fresh, like a forest after rain. Welcome aboard the Pioneer, said Kate, waiting for them at the entrance. Up close, her android form was even more impressive. While clearly artificial, her movements were fluid and natural. Her eyes tracked with subtle shifts that mimicked human expressions perfectly. This technology is beyond anything in Council records, Liara whispered, her scientific curiosity overcoming her nervousness. Commander Vex remained tense, one hand resting near his weapon. We were promised explanations. Where are the real humans? Why communicate through machines? Kate gestured for them to follow her deeper into the ship. All will be explained in the command center. And please understand, Commander, these bodies are not simple machines. They contain the full consciousness of individual humans. The command center was a circular room with views of space on all sides, though John couldn't see any windows. Images simply appeared on the walls as if space itself was visible through them. Several other androids worked at stations that seemed to operate by thought alone. They merely looked at controls and things happened. 500 years ago, Kate began, humanity discovered something that changed everything we understood about the universe. Our scientists detected an acceleration in the decay of reality itself. The universe was dying far faster than any models had predicted. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room, showing complex equations and energy patterns. John couldn't understand the mathematics, but the downward trend of the main graph was clear enough. We detected the same patterns, Liara said, surprising everyone. My people's astronomers noticed energy fluctuations at the universal boundaries, but the Council dismissed it as observational error. Kate nodded. It was not error. The fabric of spacetime is unraveling at an accelerated rate. Left unchecked, all matter would cease to exist within 10,000 years, a blink in cosmic time. What does this have to do with humanity's disappearance? Commander Vex demanded. Everything, Kate replied. When we discovered the truth, we faced a choice. Watch the slow extinction of all life, or find a solution. We chose the latter. The hologram changed to show the Earth and its solar system. A strange bubble seemed to form around the planet, then collapsed inward. We developed technology to shift our entire civilization into a parallel dimension, a place where we could work on a solution without the constraints of normal spacetime. What has been 500 years for you has been millions of years of subjective time for us. John struggled to comprehend this. You're saying humans have been living in another dimension all this time? Not just living, Kate said. Evolving. Most of humanity now exists as a collective consciousness, able to manifest in physical form when needed. These android bodies are merely interfaces designed to interact with physical beings like yourselves. Before Commander Vex could respond, alarms blared throughout both ships. Another Zorvan vessel had suddenly appeared nearby, weapons charged. Commander, you broke protocol by boarding the alien vessel, came a voice over the communication system. Ambassador Krall has ordered the human ship destroyed. Evacuate immediately. This is a diplomatic mission, Vex protested, but the transmission cut off. The newly arrived Zorvan warship fired its main weapons. The energy beam streaked toward the Pioneer, but before it hit, the beam simply stopped. It hung in space like a frozen lightning bolt, neither advancing nor dissipating. We mean no harm, Kate said calmly, but we cannot allow violence. With a gesture from another android, The energy beam reversed direction and transformed into a shower of harmless light that spread around the Zorvan warship without touching it. Impossible, whispered Vex, his confidence visibly shaken. Kate turned to face them again. As I was saying, we've returned because we've developed a solution to the universe's decay, but implementing it requires cooperation from all sentient species. The hologram changed again, showing massive structures orbiting stars throughout the galaxy. These are dimensional anchors. They extract energy from parallel universes to stabilize our reality. To build them, we need access to specific locations across the galaxy, including our old homeworlds. John's mind raced with possibilities. That's why the timing of your return coincides with Ambassador Krall's push to open the restricted zone. You needed access to Earth. Correct, Kate said. Earth is the ideal location for the primary anchor. The quantum resonance patterns are strongest there. 3 more Zorvan warships appeared in the distance. Ambassador Krall's voice came through on all channels. This is your final warning. Surrender the human technology or be destroyed. Kate sighed, a remarkably human gesture from an android. We hoped for a peaceful return, but it seems some things never change. The space around the Pioneer began to ripple. The 4 Zorvan warships suddenly found themselves surrounded by swirling portals of light. From each portal emerged massive structures of impossible geometry, machines that seemed to exist in more than 3 dimensions at once. These are merely a small fraction of our fleet, Kate explained. We could have brought overwhelming force, but that is not our way. The Zorvan ships fired all weapons simultaneously. Their energy beams and missiles simply disappeared into the strange geometries of the human vessels without effect. No casualties, Kate ordered the other androids. Disable their weapon systems only. Beams of blue light touched each Zorvan ship and their weapons immediately went offline. The ships drifted powerless in space. Now, Kate said, turning back to her guests, shall we continue our conversation about saving the universe? Liara stepped forward. I want to see proof. Show us this parallel dimension you've been living in. Kate smiled. That can be arranged. Would you like to see where humanity has been for the past 5 centuries? John could hardly believe what he was hearing. You can take us there? Of course, Kate replied. In fact, we've prepared a special reception for the first interspecies delegation. If you're willing, we can depart immediately. Commander Vex had regained some of his composure. This could be a trap. It's not, John said firmly. This is the opportunity of a lifetime to see where humanity went and what they've become. Kate held out her hand. The journey takes only moments from your perspective. You'll be perfectly safe. John looked at Liara, who nodded eagerly. Even Commander Vex, after a moment's hesitation, gave a slight nod. Then it's decided, John said, taking Kate's offered hand. Show us what humanity has become. The ship around them began to glow brighter. Through the viewports, John saw space itself fold like paper, creating a tunnel of light that stretched into infinity. The Pioneer accelerated toward it, carrying them to a place no council species had ever seen, the new home of humanity. The journey through the dimensional portal lasted only seconds. John felt a brief sensation of weightlessness, then a tingling that spread from his fingers to his entire body. The light around them grew so intense that he closed his eyes. When he opened them again, everything had changed. They were no longer on the Pioneer ship. Instead, John, Liara, and Commander Vex stood on a wide platform surrounded by a landscape that defied understanding. The sky above them swirled with colors that shouldn't exist together. Structures floated in the air, some as small as houses, others as large as cities, all connected by streams of light. Welcome to Nexus, said Kate, standing beside them. This is the main hub of human civilization now, Liara gasped, her scientific mind struggling to process what she was seeing. This doesn't follow the laws of physics as we understand them. Different dimension, different rules, Kate explained. Here thought and matter are more closely connected. Reality is more flexible. Commander Vex had gone completely still, his natural Zorvan skepticism overwhelmed by the impossible sights around him. "Are we still alive?" he finally asked. Kate laughed, a warm, genuine sound that seemed strange coming from an android. "Very much so. Your physical bodies are perfectly intact, just temporarily existing in our dimension." Spheres of soft blue light approached the platform, hovering around the visitors. As John watched, one of the spheres expanded and transformed into a human shape, a man with kind eyes and a gentle smile. "My name is Alan Gray," the figure said. 500 years ago, I was the lead scientist on Project Exodus. I'm honored to meet representatives from the galaxy we once called home." John struggled to find words. You're one of the original humans who left?" Alan nodded. "My consciousness has survived, yes. In this state, we don't age or die in the way physical beings do. We simply continue." More light spheres transformed into human shapes. Dozens of them, each unique, each watching the visitors with interest. Some appeared as elderly people, others as young adults. Their clothing styles ranged from formal suits to flowing robes to simple tunics. "These are the elders," Kate explained. "Humans who remember Earth as it was before the Exodus." Commander Vex had regained his composure, enough to ask questions. "If you can exist like this, why use android bodies at all? Why return to our dimension?" A woman stepped forward from the group of humans. She wore a white lab coat and had silver hair pulled back in a neat bun. "I'm Dr. Susan Lee," she said. "To answer your question, Commander, we need to return because our solution is only temporary. This dimension is a sanctuary, not a permanent home. We've bought time, but the fundamental problem remains." The air around them shifted, and suddenly they stood within a vast chamber filled with holographic displays. Each display showed different parts of the galaxy, stars, planets, and the subtle energy patterns connecting them. "The universe is a complex system," Dr. Lee continued. "All matter and energy are connected in ways your science is only beginning to understand. The accelerated decay we discovered centuries ago has continued. Our calculations show total collapse within 10,000 years unless we intervene." John pointed to red areas on the displays. "What are these?" "Decay points," Alan explained. "Places where the fabric of reality is breaking down fastest. Notice anything about their location?" Liara moved closer to the displays. "They're concentrated in regions with the highest density of dark energy." "Exactly," said Kate. "Dark energy is pushing the universe apart faster than it should. Something is amplifying its effects." Dr. Lee touched one of the displays and it expanded to show the entire galaxy in miniature. "We've developed technology to neutralize this amplification effect, but it must be installed at specific points throughout the galaxy. That's why we need cooperation from all species. Many of these locations are now inhabited worlds." The display shifted again, focusing on one particular system, the Sol system, humanity's original home. "Earth will host the primary stabilizer," Alan said. "From there, we can extend a network of energy channels that will balance the decay forces." John was trying to process everything. "This is why you're returning, not to reclaim your old territories, but to save everyone?" "Of course," Kate said, sounding surprised he would think otherwise. "Why would we let trillions of beings perish if we could prevent it?" Commander Vex had been silent, studying the displays with intense focus. Now he spoke up. "These decay points, several are in Zorvan territory, including our homeworld." "Yes," Dr. Lee confirmed. "Your people's home system is at particularly high risk. Within 2,000 years, it would be the first major system to become uninhabitable as reality breaks." "Down there," Vex's expression hardened. "Ambassador Krall knows about this, doesn't he? That's why he wants access to human territories so urgently. He's known about the decay, but kept it secret." Kate nodded slowly. "We've detected evidence that Zorvan scientists discovered the early signs centuries ago. Their leaders chose to suppress the information rather than cause panic." John felt a chill. "They've been looking for a solution on their own. Without success," Alan added. This problem requires cooperation on a scale never before attempted in our galaxy. The scene around them shifted again. Now they stood in what appeared to be a simple meeting room with windows looking out onto the impossible landscape. A table with comfortable chairs invited them to sit. We've shared our discovery and our solution, Kate said. Now we need your help to convince the Galactic Council to allow our return. Time is not on our side. Liara looked troubled. You said humans have experienced millions of years subjectively in this dimension. Why wait 500 years to return? An excellent question, replied Dr. Lee. The technology to create the stabilizers took most of that time to perfect. We couldn't return until we had a solution. Additionally, dimensional travel on the scale we need is incredibly difficult. The alignments between dimensions only permit large-scale crossings at certain intervals. And that interval is now, Alan added. If we miss this window, the next won't come for another 300 years. By then, several systems will already be experiencing fatal breakdown. Commander Vex stood up suddenly. I need to return and report this to my superiors. If Ambassador Krall has been hiding this information, my people must know. We understand, Kate said. But please remember, this isn't about politics or old conflicts. This is about survival for all species. John also stood. I'll speak to the Historical Institute. With their influence, we can arrange a full council hearing. And I'll contact the scientific community, added Liara. They'll want to verify your findings independently. Kate smiled. That's all we ask. A chance to present our case and work together. Humanity doesn't want to rule or control. We simply want to help save the home we once shared with you all. The Tau. Dimensional space around them began to shimmer. Kate explained they were preparing to return to normal space. As the light enveloped them once more, John caught a final glimpse of the transformed humans watching them depart. Beings who had once been like him, now evolved into something both more and less than human. He wondered if the galaxy was ready for their return. 5 years had passed since the first contact with the returning humans. The galaxy had changed more in those 5 years than in the previous 5 centuries. John Peters stood on a viewing platform orbiting Earth, watching the massive dimensional anchor take final shape. The structure was beautiful in a strange way, curves and angles that seemed to bend in directions his eyes couldn't quite follow. Workers from 20 different species moved around it, guided by human consciousness and android bodies. Quite a sight, isn't it? Said a familiar voice behind him. John turned to see Kate approaching. Her android form had been upgraded several times over the years, now looking almost perfectly human except for the faint blue glow in her eyes. I never thought I'd see Earth with my own eyes, John said. My ancestors left detailed records, but nothing compares to actually being here. Kate stood beside him at the railing. The anchor will be operational tomorrow. After that, the network can begin to expand. Below them, the blue-green planet that had given birth to humanity rotated slowly. Large areas of the continents glowed. With new growth, the automated restoration systems had been working for years to undo centuries of neglect. Cities were being rebuilt, not as museums but as living spaces where physical and energy beings could coexist. How many humans have chosen to return permanently? John asked. About 30% so far, Kate replied. Many prefer to maintain a dual existence, partly here, partly in the Nexus dimension, and some find physical existence too limiting now. A ship approached the station, a Zorvan diplomatic vessel. John recognized the markings. Ambassador Krall is early for the ceremony, he noted. Kate smiled. He's changed in these 5 years. The trial was difficult for him. The trial had been the most dramatic event in Council history. When Commander Vex revealed that Zorvan leadership had known about the universal decay for centuries and hidden it from the galaxy, the resulting scandal had toppled their government. Ambassador Krall had faced execution for his role in the cover-up. Then, surprisingly, humanity had intervened on his behalf. His understanding of entropy is genuinely valuable to the project, Kate said. Sometimes the greatest insights come from unexpected sources. John had chosen a different path after their return from the Nexus dimension. With humanity's help, He had undergone the transformation process, not a full ascension to energy being, but a hybrid state that let him serve as a bridge between traditional organic life and the returned humans. His body now contained quantum enhancements that extended his lifespan and allowed him to process information at incredible speeds. His mind could connect directly with both human and council networks. He wasn't human, but he wasn't purely Arturian anymore either. The first group of council citizens begins the ascension process next month, John said. Are you sure the galaxy is ready for this level of change? Kate's expression grew serious. Ready or not, change is necessary. The decay continues. Our measures will buy us time, perhaps tens of thousands of years, but eventually all physical beings will need to evolve beyond matter. A soft chime sounded, alerting them to new arrivals. Liara entered the observation deck, accompanied by Alan Gray in his energy form. Over the years, Liara had become the Council's chief liaison to humanity. Her scientific background had made her perfectly suited to understand the technology humanity had brought back. The final components are in place, Liara announced. The primary anchor will be fully operational 12 hours ahead of schedule. Alan's energy form pulsed with satisfaction. The network stations throughout the galaxy report ready status. Once Earth's anchor activates, the whole system can come online. John looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, similar anchors orbited thousands of worlds, each designed to channel and balance the forces causing reality's decay. The cooperation required to build them had united the galaxy in ways no one had thought possible 5 years ago. Have you received the latest readings from the veiled sector? Kate asked Alan. Alan's form dimmed slightly, the equivalent of a frown. Yes, the anomalies are increasing. We may have company soon. John looked between them. The ancient intelligence you mentioned? The one you encountered in the Nexus dimension? We're not certain, Kate admitted. But something is following, the energy signature of our dimensional travels. Something old and curious. This was the part that still worried Council leadership. Humanity's warning that they might not be the only advanced civilization to have discovered dimensional travel. During their millions of years in the Nexus, humans had found traces of other visitors, beings who had come and gone long before humanity arrived. The completion of the anchor network should give us enough time to prepare, whatever it is, Alan said. First, we save this universe. Then we can worry about visitors from beyond. The station's communication system activated, and a holographic projection of Commander Ziltrix appeared. The Valthian researcher had become a celebrity after his discovery on Mars 5 years ago. The quantum data storage device is finally decoded, he announced excitedly. You were right, John. It contained the original plans for Project Exodus left behind as a backup in case the dimensional shift failed. John smiled. So humanity had a contingency plan all along. They left breadcrumbs to find their way home, Liara added. The main viewing window automatically dimmed as a bright flash came from the direction of Earth. The dimensional anchor had activated early, creating a controlled rift between dimensions. Through this stable portal, a stream of light spheres began to emerge, thousands of human consciousnesses returning to physical space. As they watched, many of the spheres transformed into human shapes. Others remained in energy form, floating toward the rebuilt cities below. After 5 centuries, humanity was truly coming home. The council session begins in 1 hour, Liara reminded them. All species will witness the full activation of the network. Kate nodded. The beginning of the integration. Physical and energy beings learning to coexist. It won't be easy. Few worthwhile things are, John replied. From his hybrid perspective, he could see both sides now. The physical beings concerned about rapid change and the returned humans eager to share their knowledge. Building understanding between them would take generations. As they left the observation deck to prepare for the ceremony, John took a final look at Earth, humanity's first home, now reborn as something new. The planet glowed with renewed life, a beacon of hope in a universe that now had a future again. Humanity had disappeared 500 years ago to find a way to save everyone. Now they had returned to finish what they started, not as conquerors, but as guardians of all life in the galaxy. And whatever might come from beyond the dimensions, they would face it together.